Right now at 6, a struggle leads to a standoff.
From sheriff to SWAT, from state patrol, it just kept coming.
How it all ended after the suspect locked himself inside a patrol car.
Plus, lawmakers renew their call.
Planned Parenthood does so much, folks, that has nothing to do with abortion.
The push to fund what many say is a critical resource for reproductive care. And later.
I'm Jay Coulter, and coming up, we'll show you how PBOT is reimagining some of the bike lanes in Portland and how cyclists are responding.
First at 6, an altercation forces authorities to call in the SWAT team after the suspect barricades himself inside a police vehicle. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Christine Pitawanich. This all happened right in the middle of downtown Molalla, sending the officer to the hospital and a nearby preschool into lockdown. John Adams walks us through what happened.
The altercation happened when the police officer was performing a routine check at a park in the area. The suspect eventually barricaded himself in a police vehicle in the parking lot behind me.
A typically quiet Friday morning in Molalla, interrupted by the sound of police sirens. An officer was patrolling a city park when they got into an altercation with a man.
The park that he was in is actually the park that we use for our overnight camping for the houseless. So we do routine checks through there.
Sergeant August Watkins with Molalla PD says the officer was injured in the struggle, allowing the suspect to lock themselves inside a police vehicle, leading to the standoff. Keisha Bear was on her way home from work when she saw law enforcement vehicles flying past her.
From sheriff to SWAT, from state patrol, it just kept coming.
Bear tells us that officers quickly surrounded the patrol car and tried to get the man out.
I heard one flash bang, and then it was silent for a while. Saw K9, saw an officer grab his rifle. I heard a I was like, oh, that means business.
Sergeant Watkins says the suspect wasn't able to access a gun stored in the vehicle and was eventually taken into custody without incident.
There is a patrol rifle in there locked in a locking gun holder that he didn't have. He possibly could have figured out how to access it, but wasn't able to.
The nearby Bloom and Grove Children's Center went on a self-imposed lockdown around 6 a.m., but ended the lockdown after the standoff. Sergeant Watkins tells us an incident like this is unusual here.
Molalla is a rural town. We don't get a lot of the bigger city issues, but we do still have it. It still happens.
The officer injured in the altercation was transported to the hospital. We don't know the extent of their injuries, but we were told they are non-life threatening. In Molalla, John Adams, KGW News.
In tonight's headlines, new information on a deadly break-in and shooting in East Vancouver that left 2 people dead, including the shooter. Today, police revealed it was 29-year-old Tristan Magera from Vancouver who broke into a home Wednesday night with a shotgun. He attacked the person inside who was hurt but was able to run away. Police say Magera also killed 77-year-old Cynthia Vance inside her home and attacked another man in a different house. Investigators say they found Magera, who'd shot and killed himself in his own home. They don't think he knew any of the victims. And since this story deals with the topic of suicide, a reminder that help is always available. If you or someone you know is struggling, you can call or text the number on your screen, 988. You can do that 24/7. That is the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline.
A Washington County man has been arrested accused of sexually assaulting 2 people at a home in Aloha. A warning. The details here are disturbing. Authorities say 58-year-old Drew Hendricks held a 20-year-old woman against her will and sexually assaulted her Monday in a house on Southwest Applegate Drive. He is also accused of sexually assaulting a man in his 80s inside the same home. There is more here. Detectives say for more than a decade, women have accused Hendricks of stalking or sending them inappropriate messages. They are now looking to hear from potential other victims.
It does take a lot of courage to come forward when you've been a victim of a sexual assault, but our investigators absolutely want to talk with you. Doesn't matter how small you think it is, we want to talk with you about that.
Detectives say Hendricks used to own an auto repair shop called Hendricks Motors and has a pending criminal case in Columbia County.
Detectives are investigating a homicide in North Portland's Portsmouth neighborhood, and they want people in the area to review and submit any security or doorbell video. 21-year-old Jalen Hudson was shot and killed last Sunday, July 20th, close to McCoy Park near North Newman Avenue and Newark Street. Portland Police wants people to check video between 10:30 and 11:15 that morning. You can submit it online. Crime Stoppers is also offering a $2,500 reward for any tip that leads to an arrest.
In Vancouver, a house fire broke out this afternoon, forcing two families from their homes. This was near Northeast 121st and Creekside Estates Northeast. In all, 2 houses were damaged.
I was just like in my house, I was chilling, and then I saw like a bunch of smoke come out, and I ran, and then I just saw a bunch of like smoke, and the fire was happening right here. And then I was with my friend, we were like just watching it happen, and it was my friend's house, so we called him and we were like, hey, your house on fire.
I'm glad he called. That witness also said he heard something in the house exploding. The fire is now out, but no official word on the cause.
And take a look at this rescue video from the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office. They say a family of 5 got stranded on the Sandy River just after 10 p.m. last Friday. 3 adults and 2 kids floating near Dodge Park got stuck on shore without water, warm clothes, or critical medication. A drone team spotted them around 10:30, and by 3:30 a.m., a Clackamas fireboat got to them. By 5:30 a.m., crews had helped the family hike out safely. Celine?
Christine, take a look at this. Just beautiful. It's a beautiful day. It was a beautiful week, but right now especially things are looking great. We're clear and we're warm, okay? Temperatures right now sitting at 80 degrees. Those winds coming out of the northwest at 12 miles per hour, and it only gets better as we get into our weekend. But first, taking a look at temperatures across the map, looks like 79 in Vancouver, 82 in Aurora, 79 in Hillsborough, lots of 80s on the map right now, 86 in Bend. Coastal areas keeping it nice and cool, 59 degrees in Newport and 64 in Tillamook. And so look at that temperature change though. 3 degrees cooler in Portland than this time yesterday. Around an hour ago was a bit more of a difference. So 3 in Vancouver, 3 in Hillsborough. We've been cooling off at least for today. Looks like coastal areas have stayed mostly the same, but just know that it's going to change. Temperatures are going to start to climb back up as we get into our weekend and into next week. It looks like our 3-day forecast is showing upper 70s tomorrow. Then we get the 80s by Sunday, mid 80s by Monday. And so overall, here's what you need to know. We are going to start to warm up. Seasonable temperatures hanging around all weekend, but then we warm up early to middle of next week. Tuesday, Wednesday, we see 90s. After that, we cool down just a little bit. We'll break it all down a little bit later.
All right, going up to the 80s and 90s. Thanks, Celine.
Now at 6, Planned Parenthood's local clinics are feeling overwhelmed after a federal budget bill slashed much of their funding.
Celine Stevens, doing double duty this evening, has the story.
Planned Parenthood does so much, folks, that has nothing to do with abortion.
Planned Parenthood, described as a lifeline and critical healthcare resource for many, had its federal funding cut due to President Donald Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill.
Every day we're seeing patients who are suffering from miscarriage, who are diagnosed with syphilis, who are have abnormal cells in their cervix that we treat and prevent cervical cancer. That is going to stop. That's going to go away if we don't have backfill for those federal dollars.
According to Dr. Sarah Kennedy, CEO for Planned Parenthood Columbia Willamette, abortions only represent 10% of what they do.
Planned Parenthood has been targeted for defunding for a political reason, because it is a resource for abortion care. Abortion is health care. Very few politicians understand the complexity of reproduction and have no ability to provide care to the population.
A provision of the president's bill stopped Medicaid payments for 1 year to certain abortion providers, which mainly targeted Planned Parenthood.
Planned Parenthood staff want to serve Medicaid patients, and we have been. 70% of the patients that we see rely on Medicaid to cover their care, and without adequate reimbursement, care becomes harder to provide.
It's not just an attack on reproductive care. It's part of a broader pattern of disinvestment in the care that low-income individuals and families count on.
Although Planned Parenthood locations across the state are still seeing Medicaid patients, it's coming at a cost that's not being met.
Every day we are seeing thousands of patients and we are not billing for those services. So from the patient perspective, our doors are open. We want you to come and see us, and this is not something that we can sustain.
Our state is going to be asked to fill in many gaps, and this one is one that is absolutely fundamental for us to fill.
Celine Stevens, KGW News.
In an update this evening, a federal appeals court has ruled President Trump's executive order seeking to end birthright citizenship is unconstitutional.
It comes after late last month, the Supreme Court ordered lower courts to take a second look. Washington Attorney General Nick Brown led the legal challenge here, and Oregon joined the lawsuit. Brown calls the ruling a big win, noting this is the first time a federal appeals court has fully concluded Trump's order is unconstitutional.
But the case is also important because it's an affirmation of the rule of law, and no one person is above the law, and that's simply how the president was acting. And so we're really excited that the courts, and not just this court, but every court that has looked at this, is reaffirming that the president still needs to follow the Constitution.
Brown says he expects the Department of Justice to appeal and believes the case will return to the Supreme Court.
Well, meanwhile, the Trump administration is investigating the Oregon Education Department for permitting transgender girls to compete in girls' sports. This comes after a conservative nonprofit filed a complaint arguing the policy unfairly hurts other girls by costing them medals, scholarships, and competitive opportunities. Oregon law allows students to play on teams that match their gender identity, which contradicts one of the president's executive orders.